Exactly. I will tell you a story today, and that story is the Ride My Pony story. And as you already heard, my name is Christoph. I am better known as the pitch doctor. I help startups and corporate entrepreneurs pitch better, but I'm also a founder, and I'm chief equine officer of Ride My Pony. And you probably know this because I'm sort of the biggest fuck up in internet and startup history. And so today I want to talk about failure. I want to talk about redemption. And most importantly, I want to talk about ponies. In this presentation, I will inspire you a lot. You might cry, but that's okay. But first, we have to do something important. You have to do a pinky promise NDA so that you don't tell anyone. So raise your finger, pinky promise. You're not going to tell anyone about what I'm about to present to you. So the story starts with chapter 1, the $1 billion idea. When I was young, I was a fairly normal kid. I had normal interests. But then very early on, I realized I had a major interest in ponies. And ponies are amazing, and they followed me around. So when I was in university, I also got another interest that was sharing. Sharing became really interesting to me because it was the time when the sharing economy picked up. So what were people sharing? Apartments and cars. Air bed and breakfast, now Airbnb. Uber cab, now Uber, of course. They were the companies that launched back then. So I thought, wanting to found a startup myself, what else could people share that is valuable and that they have and they want to give to others as well? And of course, ponies. That's what I realized. So I set out to solve a massive problem. And the problem is you either have a pony or you don't. If you don't have a pony, the problem is pretty obvious. You don't have a pony. But even if you have a pony, you still have a problem. Because on average, you only use your pony for 12.8 minutes a day, but you have to feed it for the whole 24 hours. Now, that was the problem I wanted to solve, but I didn't stop there. I went and researched, and I found out a lot of people want a pony. I also found data that was very promising. Everybody loves ponies all around the world. So this is what gets us to chapter 2, the meteoric rise of my company. So I set out to found the Uber cab for ponies, and I called it Ride My Pony, P2P location-based pony rental, or as we later called it, collaboratively consuming ponies together. Now, in the beginning, this was not glamorous. It was me in an office, maybe a pony or two, but that was it. I tried to find co-founders. I actually tweeted about it and I said, hey, who wants to join this pony company? And I got a bunch of replies, as you can see here in the tweet, but none of these were pony experts, so I didn't take anyone on. And this might have been a mistake, to be honest. I lived the ramen lifestyle, eating nothing else, living very cheaply. And then I had a great idea to make some money because I needed it to build my product. So I bought this cereal and I put it into pony boxes and I sold it at a huge markup. And that was basically what enabled me to pay people to program the first version of the Ride My Pony app. And what the app did was very simple. You could find a pony that somebody else had put on the platform, and you could rent it, and you could ride around the city or ride home after the pub in the evening. It also had some gamification features, stuff that you needed back then. And it was very successful. We did a hidden beta in Berlin, and the hidden beta went so well that TechCrunch actually talked about us. They wrote about us. They said, this is great. This is the future of mobility. I got invited to speak at all the major conferences. And again, TechCrunch was all over us. They loved what we did. We also back then had a great idea for a marketing campaign, and we ran that, and it was hugely successful. So all of this together led to our startup going super viral. We had tweets from all sorts of people that loved it. Famous founders were commenting on it, how great it was. And also famous investors were talking about us on Twitter. It went so far that Mark Andreessen was camping in front of our office trying to give us his money. So he really wanted in. And to be honest, back then, I was living the lifestyle as well. I was flying around the world all the way, still living a very healthy life. I'm a guy that goes to the gym at 4:30 in the morning. I eat extremely healthy. I was doing all of that to really be able to focus on my startup. And it worked. We were a phenomenon. People were talking about us. And then something happened that you all know. You probably know the TV show Silicon Meadow. It's on HBO, and that is obviously based on my story, because why else would the company be called Pied Pony? And also, why else would the guy look totally like me? So that was not a coincidence. It was based on us, and they used us as the part of the story. So then also what happened was Jerry Seinfeld changed the name of his famous comedy show on Netflix after, I think, 2 seasons. And that was a clear sign that he was also a follower of what we were doing. And then there was obviously the famous Simpsons episode that was basically all about our concept of transportation. So back then, I was super excited. I was thinking, we're going to IPO. I was basically already looking at yachts I could buy. I was already thinking about talking to Mark Cuban about buying his basketball team and finally renaming it what it should be named anyway. And I also was really interested in buying this building of some guy who needed cash apparently back then. He's now actually on our advisory board. So back then, as you can see, I was on top of the world. Everything was going great. But as life goes, that's exactly when stuff went wrong. And that is chapter 3, the crash. So what crashed our amazing Ride My Pony story? Well, the first thing was our own mistake. We put our S1 out, which is the document you have to put out when you want to go public, IPO. So that document we put out and people were reading it and they found some stuff they didn't totally like. So we had always pretended to be a technology company at the core, but people realized that our plan of putting our ponies in the cloud was actually unrealistic. So the S1 was the first big thing that didn't work out for us. Then we tried to make up for that to get some great PR. So we tried something else, and that is what we called Pony Festival. And Pony Festival was supposed to be this great festival on a remote island, lots of ponies, very cool concept. I worked on it a lot, and I actually got a great partner in it. I found a rapper that had a real pony background. So together we were launching this festival. But unfortunately, we screwed up the execution. It went really bad. It got really, really dark there for a little bit. And we ended up being a laughingstock. And there's actually a documentary made about our failure. So that was the second problem that we encountered. And then the third one, and that was the final push basically, Ned, you obviously know about this story, that was TechCrunch. So when TechCrunch came out and said they talked to our beta users and they realized that people were not actually willing to share their ponies on our platform, that was really a tough blow. And the guy who wrote the TechCrunch article then later came out with a famous book. You probably have all read this, Bad Pony. And that was sort of when we really got into trouble. So what did they find out? I mean, unfortunately, I have to say what they found out was true. They talked to our users, specifically our supply side, the people that own ponies and were supposed to put them on our platform. And those people, and here's a couple of examples in what they say, they just were not interested in putting their ponies onto our platform because they didn't want to share their ponies. So that was when we realized we need to do a reality check. Are we on the right track or are we going wrong somewhere? And what we found out was there was definitely demand for ponies. People wanted ponies. And there was definitely a willingness from people to share their apartments on Airbnb. And it was totally okay to get into this guy's car in an Uber and have him drive you home at 3 a.m. in the morning. But for some reason, the owners of the ponies that we wanted to have on our platform were not okay with sharing their ponies. And that's when we realized that we had failed. And that's what leads us to chapter 4. So chapter 4 was when we tried to save our company. So first we tried to pivot from transportation to emotional support ponies. And we did that for a little bit, but it did not really work. So the next step is chapter 4B. We tried to sell our company. Unfortunately, eHay was not interested in buying it. And also we had conversations with Lyft, but they were not interested in buying it either, although we dyed our pony's hair pink. And then we thought about, what about aftermarket potential? And we actually launched a brand for that, and we called it Beyond Pony. And we tried out the product, but people didn't like it. So that's when chapter 5 happened, rock bottom. So we had to close down the company. I got kicked out, booted out by the investors, and all they gave me was $1 billion as a severance package. And you can imagine I was pretty depressed back then. And as I said, I always lived very healthy, but back then I was so sad about what happened to my company, I could barely finish my green smoothie in the morning. I sometimes didn't even do my 10,000 steps a day. And then there was the moment on January 17th, 2018, when I almost ate gluten. So that was rock bottom for me. But fortunately, I was lucky because that day I had an Uber driver and he gave me a new idea. He said, why don't you do investments in startups? That's something anybody can do, and all you need is a Patagonia vest for it. So that's what I did. I bought one, and I was like, great idea. I'm investing in startups. So I invested in a couple of startups, productivity apps. I invested in a social networking app, and I even invested in a fashion brand. And these investments are going really strong. I'm super happy with it. I also was back to living the amazing lifestyle I was used to, flying around the world. I was back on track. I was in the gym at 4:30 in the morning. I was eating healthy again. So all was great. But I realized I was missing one thing. There was a big emptiness. And what was missing to me, of course, ponies. Because I realized that little boy was still inside of me and he wanted to do a pony business again. So thankfully, this led to chapter 6, the epiphany. At that time, I was walking around outside and I saw all of the scooters that were suddenly everywhere. And I realized these scooters are not doing P2P. They're not sharing. The company just owns a lot of scooters. So I thought, could we do that with ponies? And thus, I looked back at our concept of Ride My Pony and I realized that we were wrong. Collaboratively consuming ponies together was wrong. We should have just gone for consuming ponies. So, looking at these scooter companies, these are the biggest ones. They all don't see that ponies have clear advantages over scooters, but we see that. And that's why I launched Pony, consuming ponies. That's it. And now I want to finish with my final chapter because that's where I'm at right now. And I want to tell you about my next billion-dollar idea, or as I like to call it, the best pitch ever of all time. Because I'm going to pitch to you what Pony is, and I think you will be amazed, and you will see that I'm going to be a billionaire very soon. So what is the problem that we're solving? Well, scooters suck. Let's be honest. Scooters are uncomfortable, they're dangerous, and they're hideous. What is the solution? Obvious, ponies. Ponies are super smooth, super safe, and super cute. So what is our product exactly? It's very simple. We give you a pony. It's called Pony for a reason. And we have an app where you find the ponies around you. Same concept basically, but we own these ponies. It's not P2P anymore. And you can just pick one and you can start riding it. So we own all the ponies. That means we put ponies everywhere. In big cities, we see big potential, but also in the suburbs. We see it for young people, for old people, for small people, for big people. Anybody can use it. And we also see it as a special case scenario where even something like this could work. We have a great product. Our ponies have different modes. So you can walk with them, you can trot with them, you can gallop with them. And I'm very proud to say we're the first mobility provider that also has a mode called Ludicrous. You need to check it out. We also have another mode that everybody needs today. It's all the rage, and that is obviously dark mode. Then it comes to charging infrastructure, but I think, to be honest, we have that figured out as well. And we have different products for different applications. So we have Pony X, Pony Black SUV, and even Pony Pool. And with the pony thing, we're sort of hitting a mega trend right now. Because when you look at this year, what was the biggest show on Netflix? Pony King. What was the biggest song on the internet? Wet Ass Pony. What is the most famous website, most visited website? Also pony related. So we think now is the time to be successful with the pony business. What's really important for us is that we have clear values because we don't want to treat our employees like this. So we have one main KPI and we call it NPS. And NPS obviously stands for Net Pony Satisfaction. So we make sure our ponies have it very comfortable. We have a spa for them. We take care of their mental health. That's really important. And we even give them what we call 20% time so they can work on other projects as well. And we have a dedicated intern that's just in charge of giving our ponies treats. We also came up with a new motto for our company, and it's move at a moderate pace and nibble things. And our employees love it and live it every day. Our business model is very simple. You pay to unlock and you pay per mile. And that's how we make money, but we also make money from sponsorships because we have sponsors for our saddles. So any company can do it. We have some companies where it just obviously makes sense. And then we have some that are regionally specialized. So something like this. We're currently fundraising, and for that, I want to show you a little bit of what we're estimating conservatively as revenue in the next couple of years. And here is the graph. I mean, it gives you the perfect hockey stick that every investor is looking for. And be very clear here, these are conservative estimates. We have an amazing team, very dedicated people, very smart people, and we have a great advisory board that's going to help us along the way. We already have first leads to investors, so we're talking to them very soon. And right now we're trying to raise 50 million. So investors can apply to us basically, but only the best, because we're trying to build the world's first ponycorn. And for me, it's really important to do that because I want to finalize my vision of finally owning that building. Because I have a feeling that the guy who's on our advisory board needs to sell pretty soon because he needs money. He might go to prison. So now is my chance. So what I want to leave you with is never give up, okay? You can be the biggest fuck up in startup history one day, and then you can be the biggest comeback in startup history another day. So always keep riding. And if you want to join me on this journey, come ride with us to IPO country. Thank you.